60% of Americans' diet comes from these seed oils. These seed oils start with genetically engineered seeds designed to withstand heavy doses of Roundup glyphosate that's sprayed on them that's linked to cancer. Then they are heated to a point where they cause a lot of byproducts that are harmful to human health, and then they're extracted with a chemical solvent like hexane that can remain in the product. The FDA doesn't actually test to see what residues remain, and then they're deodorized because they smell terrible after all that processing, and then they bleach it with chemicals that you don't have to put on the label of these different seed oils. So you can see how detrimental the processing of these seed oils are, and then what happens when we consume these oils that we aren't supposed to eat. These are industrialized engine lubricants, right?
Wow. Yeah. So I try to avoid all seed oils. So this is your corn oil, your canola oil, your safflower. What else? Grapeseed. All that stuff is garbage. What I replace it with now is butter, just pure butter. You can use that. Avocado oil.
Olive oil.
Olive oil is good.
Coconut
oil. Those are your primary replacements for all those. If you go to a restaurant and they got fried foods, I would try to find a restaurant that uses beef tallow. Yeah. And and I think we've got a video in here. Back in the day, I used to eat all this stuff. Why are you saying my kids can't eat this? Because back in the 80s or when you were a kid, they did it different. Back in I don't know if it was 80s, it's probably 70s when McDonald's used to cook their fries in beef tallow, and then all of a sudden they started all this
corn lobby.
Yeah, they started these seed oils,
big corn,
and it was cheap. And they just switched everything over, and they stamped it heart healthy. It ain't heart healthy.
That's when back in the 90s you saw a lot of fat-free stuff, and like bringing up Doritos again, they had Olestra, and it had may cause loose stools on the package. And I was a kid, so I remember that plain as day. But they would do a lot of fat-free stuff, and they'd take the fat out and then add different things back in. But one of the main things they add back in is extracts from corn and corn syrup.
Yeah. And
it's basically just a sugar, and it's a highly chemically processed.
Yeah, and you mentioned sugar. Sugar is of the devil, okay? Even if you don't believe in them, still, sugar's of the devil. Better watch out.
I don't believe in the devil, but I do think corn is of him.
Yeah, and high fructose corn syrup, even worse.
That is Satan.
That is yes, Beelzebub.